I the antagonist for telling my mom to stop acting like a control freak with my brother? My 16-year-old female, older brother, 18-years-old male, is in his final year of school. I'll call him Tom. For context, we have a system in my country where you sit a state exam in your 3rd year of high school, which I took last year, and your final exam in your 6th year. The third is mostly for experience. During COVID, the 3rd year exam got canceled, so Tom missed out on it. I've been offering my experiences from last year to him to try and give him some support. On to the issue. My mom, 46-years-old female, can be pretty strict, especially when it comes to school. Last year she would hassle me about studying more, often lectured me on the right way to study and how I should and shouldn't be spending my time. In her view, you have to constantly write notes and answer samples questions, otherwise you're doomed to fail. While she could be helpful at times, her constant nagging only put more pressure on me, and it gave me a lot of anxiety over failing and disappointing her. Now I'm starting to see history repeat itself with Tom. Tom has a very different study style to my mom. He prefers to rhyme things off and memorize notes. He simply doesn't learn from just writing things down. My mom just doesn't understand this and keeps lecturing him on it. She has come to me multiple times and complained about how he doesn't know how to study and has no focus, which I know isn't true. I worked in the office next to him all through COVID and saw that he is the most hardworking person I've ever seen. She complains about how he won't let her help him studying. He hates studying with her cause she won't shut up and let him work. All of this has made him stressed and irritable. He's been snapping at her and our other siblings a lot, and his grades aren't perfect. Mom has complained about it before. He has explained to her multiple times that he learns in his own way and he needs to do this himself, but she refuses to leave him alone. Last night I finally snapped. My mom came to me again complaining about Tom. She told me he's being a prick, her words, and refuses to study Irish with her, one of his subjects she's particularly obsessed with. She said he's got no work ethic and can't understand how unlike me he is. I told her it's because he can speak up for himself, unlike me, and she is the problem. I told her it's not her exams, and that if he wanted help he would ask. I said she was acting controlling and obsessive. I ended by telling her that just cause I let her bully me doesn't mean I'll let her do that to my brother. She's now refusing to speak us. Tom's grateful but told me I didn't need to be an asshole about it. I feel like I was harsh. She's my mom and I still love her. I think I went too far. Am I the asshole? Giving kids the silent treatment for pointing out a behavior problem isn't a mature response on her part. It sounds like you needed to go this far. Good for you that you spoke up. Moms do not always know best, and she needed to hear it. We all learn in different ways. We're all different people. Am I the antagonist for being brutally honest in therapy? I am 16 years old and live with my dad, my younger brother who is 13 years old, and my sister who is 12 years old, as well as my dad's wife, Gwen, and her kids who are 7 years old and 5 years old. My dad and Gwen got married 2 years ago after knowing each other and dating for a year. My mom passed away 7 years ago. Gwen's ex left when she was pregnant with her son, and both kids do not have any memories of him. Gwen's kids are not my siblings. I do not have strong feelings for them like I do with my actual siblings. When we were younger, I used to let them come into my bed if they had nightmares while my dad was working nights and we had a babysitter. I still let them sleep on the floor of my room if they want to for some reason. My brother did it once in the last year because he was being bullied at school. I show affection to my siblings by hugging them and ruffling their hair, but I do not feel comfortable doing the same with my step-siblings. I talk to them and let them join me when I'm watching something, but I do not cuddle with them on the couch or play with them during my free time. My dad and Gwen wanted the three of us to talk things through in therapy because the kids have felt less loved due to the differences in treatment. They said I have 4 siblings now and not just 2, and they should all be treated the same. I told them that I do not have the same feelings for my step-siblings and will never be as close to them as I am with my actual siblings. Gwen insisted that I refer to them as siblings, but I told her that they are not my actual siblings, and I do not see them that way. When she asked where she fits in, I told her that she is my dad's wife, not a parent to me. During therapy, Gwen expressed her concerns about the unequal treatment, and there were discussions about me potentially leaving. The therapist intervened and suggested finding ways to live together with less hurt feelings and involving Gwen's kids in the conversation. Gwen stated that she did not want me in the house, and my dad agreed. I offered to leave if that's what they wanted, and my dad was disappointed that I would rather leave than fully embrace Gwen and her kids as my family. He mentioned that my mom would be ashamed of me, but I pointed out that my mom also had a different relationship with her step-relatives compared to her real family. Am I the asshole in this situation? Not the antagonist. Your father is a major asshole for entertaining his wife's idea of sending you away because you don't want to pretend your step-family is the same as your real family. Your stepmom is immature, and your therapist was probably shocked by the situation. Keep being honest and reach out to other family for support. Wishing you the best in this difficult situation. How do I break up with my boyfriend of 10 months and still remain friends? So my boyfriend and I have a long friendship. We dated briefly in the beginning, broke up on not so good terms but reconnected later. We stayed friends for years before getting back together. It started out pretty good, not gonna lie. I mean, I had somebody that understood my neurodivergent quirks, didn't make me feel bad for any reason, loved me absolutely unconditionally. It got to a point on his end where he was living in an abusive household, and I made the decision to pull him out and help him get on his feet. He didn't have any guidance on navigating life as an adult from his family, so I was helping him with that. Again, it started out with no issues. Got him a job and he was maintaining it for a while, but when the old staff started leaving for better jobs and new staff came in, he started hating his job and slowly faded out. So I managed to find him another job, which he nailed the interview and background check, but almost lost this job for missing the first 3 days, health, physical injury. Now to the dilemma at hand. I have been basically his caretaker for almost 10 months, helping him with anything and everything. Doctor's appointments, interviews, phone calls, bank stuff, ID stuff, making sure he has transportation to work, making sure he has housing. We lost our last place due to unforeseen circumstances out of our control, and I had scrambled finding him a new place. I think you get the idea. At this point, the relationship is very codependent and draining on my end. I have been asking myself, what am I getting out of this that I can't get from anybody else in this world? I want to break up, but I have on 2 occasions made a comment about my concern for this relationship. Both times it ended with him getting extremely upset and me just kinda dropping the whole thing. So now I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. This is somebody I truly care about and want to see succeed, and if I do end up being the one to break this relationship, it will absolutely crush him, and he might end up moving back to his abusive family and losing all of the progress he made in the last 10 months. On the other hand, I am neglecting myself in a way that I may not be able to recover from if I don't get out soon. I want this to be a clean break, but from my previous encounters with him, it won't be. I'm open to any advice. I just want this to be civil, clean, if possible, and I want him to know that I'm not doing this because he is a problem, but to preserve myself before I shrivel into a shell of a person, if I haven't already. You already know that he's going to be hurt by whatever you do. Just be honest and strong and explain it the best you can. Trying to remain in his life will keep his hope of reconciliation alive and hurt him worse. Do yourself and him a favor by not making up scenarios and allow him to become more independent before reconnecting. Would I be the antagonist for keeping my son away from family events because I think his uncle mistreats him? Would I be the asshole for keeping my son away from family events because I think his uncle mistreats him? I, 38 years, am married to a wonderful man, Dave, 43 years, and we have 4 children together, the youngest of which is a 5-year-old boy, William. Dave is the oldest of 4 siblings, all of whom have kids as well. There are 12 cousins in all, ranging in age from 2 to 22. Lately at family events I've noticed my brother-in-law, Dave's sister's husband, has been making some pointed comments to or about William. We will call brother-in-law Joe. Joe has always been loud and abrasive and uncaring if he says something inappropriate, rude, or off-color. As the family says, that's just the way Joe is. Recently, I've noticed pointed comments Joe has made about William. In one instance, Joe responded to a funny story about William by saying that my son should be put in a straitjacket. At another, he criticized and scolded my son for getting chip dip on his hands. There have been other small things that seem like nothing on their own, but when taken into account together make me very uncomfortable. There are other young children in the family that do not get the same ire as my son for acting like young children, and my son is far from outrageous in his behavior. He's a typical, loving, playful 5-year-old boy. There have been many situations over the years in which Joe has made me uncomfortable, like yelling at and berating his wife in front of everyone, making inappropriate comments about women, insulting me, saying things that are low-key racist or homophobic, etc. Things directed at me I've learned to live with and ignore, but I refuse to allow my child to be a punching bag. An adult family member treated me similarly as a child, and I know firsthand the emotional damage such treatment can have on someone at a young age. So I have told Dave and my mother-in-law, who is wonderful, that I would be keeping William away from family events in which Joe will be present. Dave thinks I am overreacting. My mother-in-law did not say much, but said she was so sorry and she had no idea that was happening. I told Dave if he wanted William to go to family events, he needed to protect our son and stand up to Joe. Whenever I try to say something about Joe's behavior, I'm immediately shot down by Joe and his wife, and none of the rest of the family have my back, because that's just how Joe is. Joe will take Dave more seriously than he'll take me, but Dave would rather keep the peace. Dave also thinks that William will be more harmed by being kept home from family events than he would be from Joe's comments and treatment of him, but I don't know if I agree. I won't keep William away from major holidays, but smaller gatherings, like baptisms and such, I would like to keep William away from for now. I realize that while my own history gives me insight, it might also make me sensitive and biased. So would I be the asshole? And how would you handle this situation? The family needs to meet, discuss this issue without Joe and his wife, and come up with a plan to confront this behavior and get a pledge to stop it. Nobody should place the feelings of an immature adult bully over the well-being of a child. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom that she doesn't get to make the rules? I, 17-year-old male, live with my 3 brothers, 15-year-old male, 13-year-old male, 10-year-old male, and my mom, 40-year-old female. We're not very well off. I pay almost half the rent. I pay for groceries more often than not, and I juggle having a job, going to school, and raising these 3 kids, one of whom is disabled. I say raising because my mom, between having 2 jobs and basically never being home, doesn't contribute. She's gone by 8 a.m. and usually not back before 10 or 11 p.m. In the past year, she's been home even less, getting home later and later. I'm pretty sure she goes out drinking. The fight went like this. My mom came home last night a bit before 9 p.m. for once, instead of 11 or later as she's been doing. 15-year-old came out of his room to say hi, and 13-year-old was already on the couch reading something for school, so she hugged both of them, and said hi, and said she'd stopped by the gas station to buy us all something and gave us all a candy bar, which was cool of her. Then, she asked where 10-year-old was, because she wanted to say hi to him. Now, I've practically raised these kids on my own for years now, and I do my best. On the very rare occasion my mom comes home early, she usually just goes to bed. I have 10-year-old go to bed at 8 p.m., which I don't think is unreasonable, and I let the other 2 stay up until 10 p.m. because they're older. We all eat dinner at 6, get home from school around 4, and have a pretty clean routine altogether. Now, my mom was asking where he was, so I told her he was asleep. She asked why, so I told her it's past his bedtime. She told me he didn't have to go to bed that early. I told her he did. She told me no he didn't. She'd said we could all stay up until 10. I said that doesn't work, and she told me she's the parent, and it does work. And then she said it's not my place to micromanage the other 3. She said, her kids, her house, her rules. And then she exploded, that I could stop being such a control freak because it wasn't my place to do that, or to have signed up 13 a.m. for soccer, or to have repainted the fence, or to have taken 10-year-old to the doctor some weeks ago, or any of the things I've been doing without asking her. I told her it's also my house, I pay a lot of rent, and they're basically my kids, because she's never around, so it's more my house, my rules if we want to play that game. I told her she wouldn't know what works for 10-year-old, because she's too busy to know him. I told her I might ask for her input if she was ever around, but she never is, so I don't give a shit how she thinks I should raise these kids, and she doesn't get to have a say in it. Not anymore. She broke down crying, called me ungrateful for all that she does, said she doesn't know where she went wrong and left the room. She either went to her room or she fucked off and left the house. ID cake and IDC. She's an adult. It's her life. 13-year-old said I'm a dick for making her cry, and 15-year-old left the room a minute later saying he was going to bed. So, am I the asshole for telling my mother off? Not the antagonist. Your mother is parentifying you, which is child abuse, and it's not fair for her to attack you for how you choose to do her job. Your brothers will understand when they're older, and you are incredibly organized for your age. Keep standing up for yourself, and don't let her control you. Best of luck to you. My friend has accused me of stealing her boyfriend. Honestly, I have no idea where to start with this story, and sorry if it's long. I, 26 years old, have been friends with Carly, also 26 years old, since middle school. We lost touch after I moved out of state for law school, but our parents are still friends. I moved back to our home state last year when I graduated and met Matt, 25 years old. We bonded instantly as we're both studying to be lawyers. Matt should graduate this year if all goes well. Because of studying and work, we've taken things really slowly, and only just recently became official. As we'd gone official, I decided to invite him to my sister's 21st birthday party. It was a huge party at my parents' house back in my hometown. Both Matt and I work and live, separately, about an hour away. We had been at the party for about an hour when Carly arrived with her parents. I was excited to see her as I had been meaning to get back in touch since I'd moved back. The timing had never been right. Well, Carly spotted us and hurried on over. I was surprised when she gave Matt a huge hug and asked him what he was doing at the party. Turns out they work in the same building and Matt is friends with a few of Carly's friends. They've been out on group nights together a few times. I did the whole, "Oh, Carly, this is my boyfriend, Matt" thing, and her face instantly fell. She looked furious with me and ignored me for the rest of the party. I sent her a message the next morning, asking if I had done anything wrong. Carly blew up at me and accused me of stealing her boyfriend, and I soon got several rude messages from mutual friends saying something similar. I met up with Matt and asked him what the hell was going on. I had assumed that once we'd made it official, we were exclusive. Matt had no idea what I was talking about. I relayed Carly's message and he was even more confused. He said that he got on with Carly when they saw each other, but it had never been anything more than a friendship. He didn't think anything of them spending time together outside of work with friends, so that's why I didn't know he and Carly worked in the same building. It's been a week since the party and I'm still getting messages from people on how I could do that to Carly. I've tried saying over and over again that Matt and Carly weren't dating, but it's falling on deaf ears. Even my parents have heard about it from Carly's parents. I have zero idea what the hell to do. Where do I go from here? I trust Matt completely, but what do I do about Carly? You should ignore Carly and stay away from her. It's up to Matt to clarify that he was never dating Carly and that he is in an exclusive relationship with you. Sit down with the adults and tell them the same thing. Block anyone still spouting this BS. Good luck. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.